Okay, this is going to be a little more of a chill episode. There's no script really. It's just a bit of the intro that I prepared, and the rest are just bullet points. You'll see what I mean. Like, just put the video up of like the script, me reading from the script. Thank you. Yeah, it's just this part right here that's really got like a script per se. The rest is just bullet points. Season 8 of Marvel Rivals coming soon. I think it's time to take a look at the current roster and make a nice little list of characters that we would like to see in the game. And yes, we, not just me. And that's because I actually asked you guys to suggest characters you'd like to see in the game. I asked you guys over on Twitter, on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, quite literally everywhere to see what you guys want to be added, or like the characters that you want to be added to the game. Now, I will also point out that I'm not going to talk about the common ones, like the common requests that other creators have pointed out before, like She-Hulk, Nightcrawler, War Machine, or even any like this of the Sinister Six, like Lizard or Mysterio. And yes, there has been talk about Kingpin. I personally want him in the game too, but there's already a lot of people that talked about him, so I'm not going to mention him. I want this to be as original as possible. So we'll just start with the vanguards, and we'll start with one of the characters that was mentioned before in dialogue, specifically Star-Lord's dialogue, and that is Drax the Destroyer. Now, this one makes pretty much like total sense. He's big, he's strong, he likes confrontation, he could be a brawl tank. It's pretty much like guaranteed for him to be a tank. But then again, some things have been weirder. A lot of people thought Emma Frost was going to be a DPS. She should have to be a tank, so you never know. I'd personally love to see Drax as a tank. He certainly fits the role quite well. They can even borrow some of his abilities from the Guardians of the Galaxy game. Next up is also someone that is related or associated with the Guardians of the Galaxy in general, is Nebula. Now, why Nebula is not a DPS here in my wish list is because I think Nebula has the capabilities of withstanding a lot of damage. Now, I'm not going to talk about a comic standpoint. I mean, she did like wear the Infinity Gauntlet at one time, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking in general. And also, like, I'm going to also talk about the MCU because that's honestly the kind of that because I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk about the MCU because honestly, that's the version of Nebula I'm most familiar with. In those movies, she pretty much withstood a lot of damage, or at least she regenerated easily from a lot of damage. So she could either be a Vanguard, but I can also see her being someone like Ultron, like a strategist with decent amount of healing, but also does a lot of damage. But obviously she has like self regeneration. So, but I think I would prefer her to be a Vanguard. Someone over on TikTok said that he'd love to see Ghost Rider as a Vanguard, and I honestly agree. I think Ghost Rider would be a pretty cool fit, and I think he would be a cool addition. And I really, really hope that it'd be Robbie Reyes over Johnny Blaze, because I think Marvel Rivals needs more Latino representation. Because honestly, Namor is like the only one that is Latino in the game. We need more characters like that. Next up is Vulcan. Now, the commenter didn't really specify whether or not they want this character to be a Vanguard or like any specific role. I personally think he'd be more fitting as a Vanguard because of his ability and his powers of energy manipulation and energy absorption. Now, yes, that kind of description for powers wouldn't make you think that he's more like suitable as a DPS rather than a Vanguard. But I don't think so. I think that this kind of character, especially his build, if you look at his pictures, you'd probably sense that there is some kind of Vanguard potential there. Next up is Gore. I personally don't know Gore all that well. I've only seen him in Thor: Love and Thunder, and honestly, that was a bad movie, so I pretty much have no recollection of him whatsoever. Considering that in that movie he basically was able to go one-on-one against Thor, and Thor is a Vanguard in this game, I think it's safe to say that Gore should be a tank for this game. He can take a lot of damage. He can also dish out a lot of damage. He can maybe be one of those hybrid, similar to Mr. Fantastic, how he's a hybrid between DPS and Vanguard. Maybe Gore can be a hybrid of Vanguard and DPS. Last one is going to be Dormammu. Now, yes, I know that in the MCU, he's pretty much like a huge purple guy. Like, I'm honestly not sure what he's made of, but in the comics, he looks totally different, and I think they could take his comic version as an inspiration to make him playable. Yeah, now it's on to the duel lists. Now, the obvious ones that I'm going to get out of the way are Gamora and Wasp. Now, Gamora kind of makes sense why she's here. She's not as strong as Nebula, even though I did consider putting her as another Vanguard potential. But I think she's more agile and more. Like, she deals a lot more damage than Nebula, I think. She's very strong, she's very agile, she's very quick, she's very nimble as well, as Jax called her once. So I can see her as a duelist. Now, Wasp is kind of a tricky one. I did consider her being a strategist, but I think there's already too many like women in strategist roles. And also, don't forget that they've already been testing out the they've been testing out the shrinking and growing of the Ant-Man. It's in what's the Times Square, and I think that her beams can act more as a damage output than a healing output. Though it would make sense if it were both. Again, she could be a hybrid. Like, I think more hybrids need to be included in the game. Maybe she can be at DPS that can do a little bit of healing, not totally, but just enough, just enough to get by. Or maybe her beams can be like her giving overshield or something. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that she would be more suitable for a DPS role. Next up is Mystique. Now, I think Mystique would be a pretty suitable addition to the. I think Mystique would be a pretty good addition to the roster. She's unique. She got the power to. I mean, yeah, she does have like a similar power to Loki, where she can shapeshift into other characters, but she doesn't necessarily copy the powers. I think the ability of her, like, here's the thing: when you change as Loki, your name, like, you appear as an ally to the enemy team until you attack them. So I think her abilities can sort of reflect that, where she can copy someone on the enemy team and basically pretend to be an ally for them until she decides to attack. Now, what her ultimate could be is something that I'm not sure of, because again, I'm not entirely sure what she's capable of. My only reference for her are some of the X-Men movies, and even in those, she didn't really show any sort of power beyond the copy of the look itself. In Lego Marvel Superheroes, she did have this she did have this technology that was she did have this technology that allowed her to copy some of Magneto's powers. So maybe they'll include that. I mean, they gave Black Cat the ability to teleport, so you never know. And now onto the fan section of the video, or like of the duelist video. What? You know what I mean. First up, we got Quicksilver. And yes, this has been a popular request. I know I'm not going to say any popular characters, but this is different. This is a comment. Okay, so I'm not going to ignore it. Quicksilver is a good shout. How they're going to be able to handle him, though, in terms of handling his speed, is going to be the tricky part. His ultimate, either way, is probably gonna be him going super fast. Like, maybe not as fast as that one scene. You know what I'm talking about. However, I do think that it's going to be something close to it. Now, his base speed is going to be the tricky part because, yes, either way, hopefully they can be able to balance him out. They still have a balanced out Blade, though, and Storm is still kind of slow, so who knows? We'll see. Another one that came to me in a comment section is Carnage, and I do think he would be a good addition. And yes, I did put him in the duelist category and not in the Vanguard category because he is quite slim. And I do think that Carnage would be suitable for the role of Mr. Fantastic or something similar, as a hybrid character between being Vanguard and being a duelist. Like how Mr. Fantastic can take in a lot of damage and do a lot of damage in return. I think Carnage is the same, considering it can give him the second health bar like Venom has, and he can do a decent amount of damage. To round off our duelist section is Electro. Now, I don't know this version of Electro specifically, so I'm just going to talk about Electro in general. Now, I think Electro as a character to be included would be pretty cool. I think it's about time that someone of the Sinister Six to be introduced in the game, since they also teased them kind of in the new Manhattan map, or like technically it's not new since season 8 is almost here, but you know what I mean. The lower Manhattan map, you can see like there's a reference to Green Goblin and such, and there is a reference for the Lizard. So hopefully we will start seeing members of the Fantastic Four. Oh my god. So hopefully we will see some additions of the Sinister Six soon. Now, last but not least, are strategists. I really didn't have a lot of people in mind for this role. One of the characters is also a Sinister Six member, and it's Mysterio. I think he would be a really cool strategist with his illusions, similar to Loki. And him doing illusions and copying people's powers, or like maybe changing the map around one person. I don't know, doing like messing up their vision basically. I think that would be pretty cool. Another one I think would be pretty cool is Forge. He can be in the same logic as Rocket Raccoon. For those who don't know about Forge, he's basically someone who's really good with design and technology. He's an engineer, so that's why I put him in with the strategists as something similar to Rocket. You know how Rocket's super smart and he's able to make technologies. He's able to make a res beacon. He's able to make a gun that both heals and harms. So I think Forge in that similar technical expertise would be a strategist. Next up, we have Triage. Now, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. But his powers are pretty much strategist coded. His main powers are healing and regeneration. So he is going to be a pretty good strategist. He's pretty much strategist coded. And now a little bonus section for the video. These are going to be characters that will probably not be added as individual characters, but rather as skins, similar to Loki and Lady Loki. Had different voice lines and a different voice actress. The first one that comes to mind is Red Hulk, because, let's be honest, there's a small chance for Red Hulk to be added anyway. Him and Hulk have similar abilities, so having a Red Hulk skin for Hulk with Thaddeus Ross instead of Bruce Banner makes the next logical thing. Now, another one that is sort of out there is Wong and Doctor Strange. Now, I know that Wong in the comics is pretty different from the MCU, but I'm talking like from the MCU's standpoint. Wong is another sorcerer like Doctor Strange, so I'd imagine that it's going to be pretty hard for them to add someone who's already basically in the game in the form of Doctor Strange. So yeah, again, like Red Hulk, the next best thing is to have a skin, even though I'd like him to be his own character. Similarly, Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, would probably be an Iron Man skin instead of her own character, because both of them have similar attributes and similar skills, basically. Both are engineers, both have a superpowered suit. And yes, I'm expecting people to ask, what about War Machine? War Machine is different. He's more of a Vanguard character. He'd probably be his own character. I can see her being a skin for Iron Man rather than her own character. And to round off this section is Spider Woman for Spider Man. And it honestly kind of makes sense to me since, she's his clone after all. And that is this video. Like I said, it's very chill, very unscripted, you can probably tell. My thoughts were kind of all over the place, but that's fine. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see me predict the season 8 characters and buffs and nerfs, would then tell me in the comments below. Other than that, I'm done here.